The world and our lives are imperfect, and we suffer because of this. We can add or subtract from the suffering. There appears to be no way to be neutral in regards to this, though, because everything falls apart if we do nothing. If you do nothing, you do not eat. You can't build anything. So by your very act of seemingly doing nothing, you are contributing to the suffering in the world. We overcome suffering by becoming better people, which is a pretty vague statement, but we'll leave it at that for now. To have the possibility of a better life, of becoming a better person, requires sacrifice. The sacrifice can be for ourselves, and it can also be for our future generations and for those around us. But it certainly does require that sacrifice. Because of our fallen nature, because we are imperfect, because we are limited beings, we really are unforgivable in a way. All the things that we do not do, that we should be doing. All the things that we aren't doing up to our best ability. And that is where the story of Jesus comes in and allows us to have, we who are fallen, imperfect, not very good creatures, there is hope that we can be forgiven, that we can continue to work on perfecting ourselves, so to speak. One of the things that I've always been curious about is worship. I know a lot of people view worship as an appeal for aid, as an appeal to a supernatural power for help. I've never really thought of it that way. Certainly people can do it like that. You can carry around a lucky rabbit's foot. You can, cross your fingers behind your back. You can hope to find some luck throughout the day. But I've never really viewed it that worship is more of the act of humility. That you realize that there are things that are greater than yourself and that you humble yourself before them. It is a path for the individual, the Christian life or the Western life, I guess it's currently, that's how it is right now. It has to be freely chosen and walked on your own accord. It is a living religion that it only lives in people and only in what you actually do and put forth. It is not some mindless set of formula that you can apply and it just works. It has to be lived through, and it has to be done through a conscious person, through a conscious act. One of the things that I also find very important is the lessons of the past, the knowledge of the past. The actions that we can take during the course of our life seem to be nearly unlimited. Even from simple things of what to eat in the morning, what time to get up, and all the ramifications that those can have throughout a day would be overwhelming if you actually considered them all. I mean, it would take you so long just to think of the different things that could occur and the different branches and chains that would occur that you would be paralyzed. You couldn't act. And that's one of the reasons that I think it's very important that we do draw on the past for our history, for the lessons. That way that we have some mode of ciphering through all the information and all the seemingly nearly unlimited choices before us. And that's why one reason that I would be an advocate of people reading the biblical stories is because there is much wisdom of the past in there, and it's not wisdom of a scientific nature. You're not going to find the atomic weight of oxygen in the Bible. You're not going to find a lot of history, really. That's not what it's there for. It's for your actions, for your choices on your day-to-day as an individual, as a autonomous person. That's what it's there for. For me, my meaning of God has come to be that it's what gives meaning. Whatever gives meaning to your life is your God, and whether you know it or not even. And that's the problem, is a lot of people, I suppose, don't actually realize this, and things that they actually revolve their life around kind of possess them and take control of them. And it is a false god because it uses them in a way, and they don't get really much out of it. And they're not even aware of it. They're not even aware of what gives their life meaning, and thus they're not in control. They're not able to be like a full person and make conscious decisions. Somebody, that was addicted to a hardcore drug. You can see that they're not really fully in control. Certainly, I don't want to necessarily branch off into a free will deterministic debate, but I think we can all realize that when someone's addicted to something like heroin, that they're not in full control of their faculties anymore. That's what's in control. That's what's giving their life meaning, and that's what's driving the boat. That's what colors everything they see. That's why so many, a lot of times, family members get abused by people that have drugs, because they will attempt to get any bit of money that they can out of them. It's what's in control, no longer the person. I've always thought that the Jesus story was very striking in that it's the most unfair story that we've kind of come up with for human beings. And I think that's one reason why it's so compelling, that one person would take on the sins of all of humanity. It's very unfair. Why should he? Why would he take those sins on, all the faults, all the evils of mankind that we do, that we choose to do? He's going to take them on himself. That's not fair, even remotely. Yet that is the only way forward for humanity. That we do accept those sins, that we do take them on, even the sins of our forefathers in a way, so that we can be forgiven and move forward. If we can't forgive, we're stuck. We're just going to be the same thing we've always been. We will never improve, never be able to move forward. Being a good person is not just not doing bad things. You may think, I don't kill anyone, I don't steal anything, hence I'm a good person. That's actually not right, though. To be a good person, you actually have to do good things. Because, as we discussed earlier, when you don't do anything, things naturally just fall apart around us. So it does require a conscious, active effort on ourselves to be a good person. And I'm not really interested in judging individual people, whether they're good people or not. But I hope that you take this as a personal, thing inside you. That what do I actually do that would be considered good? How am I contributing to the order, to the stability, to moving the world forward in a positive manner? What am I doing actually in my life to help other people? Or, sometimes, help isn't always being a good person. Sometimes allowing others to help us too. Because we can try to go at everything ourselves, but it is good to allow other people to contribute as well when they do have areas that they can contribute to. Such as when you're raising kids, it's good that they can do whatever they're able to on their own, because they're contributing to the household. They're contributing to that order. When they're able to do certain things, on their own, such as take their own baths or showers, that sort of thing. Going back briefly to our imperfect nature, we never, because of our limited nature, we never get the full truth. And it's just something that will always elude us. I don't think that should stop our pursuing of truth, because we certainly can get closer to it. But we also have to be humble enough to realize that we will never know a perfect truth, and that it will be poof there. Because we are just this limited, just small slice of this consciousness. But we also have to remember that we actually have to act. We can't just sit around thinking all the time. We have to do things, not only to be a good person and contribute to the world, because it falls apart around us if we don't actually help to improve it and help to maintain it, but as human beings, we are doers. We're not... we have to have a direction, we have to have a goal, we have to have something to do each day. And I don't think that can be understated, that in some ways the human existence is a lie, because we have to act even though we don't know really everything. And we never will, but we have to do our best. And I think that's one of the reasons why relying on past knowledge and updating it to our own lives and to the current time and to our, just in our own life, in this own instance of what do these stories mean. And, we do need reminders of how to be a good person. It's not easy being kind to others when they're not kind to you. That's not easy. But that is what, something that we should strive for. And showing someone, your courage and your kindness at the same time when they're being very uncourageous and cowardly and spiteful to you, we do need to remember these things. And that's why, in a lot of ways, it's good to go to some sort of service or reminder of these sorts of goals and attainments that we have. Something higher that we're reaching for. And we do need that constant reinforcement. It's kind of like, I guess, if you were trying to stop drugs and you just assumed, or stop smoking, say, just, I want to stop. I'm just going to stop. I don't think most people are going to be able to do that. I dare say no one would be able to stop smoking. You need constant, some sort of plan, a pattern, constant reminders. Have to change your life in a way, You probably don't want to go hanging out at bars where everybody's smoking. Might make it really difficult. But whatever in your own, personal thing, you have to make those changes and those decisions of what is appropriate. But you do have to do it. And you do have to have some sort of a plan, something actionable that you can do. And in some ways, I see a lot of complaints that people have with religion, but it's with really everything in life in a lot of ways. That's not good enough. That's not perfect. That's not right. Here's this problem with this thing. Here's this problem. This one thing. Everything is going to have a problem in life. Everything's going to have a downside. Nothing will be perfect. And we do have to approach the discussions, I think, in that manner, in that adult manner, knowing, hey, we're not going to get everything we want with no repercussions, negative repercussions. It's just not going to happen. So let's talk like adults about what's going on and try to make something that's livable and workable. I think that's a much more realistic and mature approach to making decisions rather than just pointing out the faults, because pointing out the faults of stuff really isn't that difficult. And I think it's only useful really to point out faults when a vast majority of people consider this thing to be perfect. I mean, something that's very mundane would be like a movie. If it got great reviews, made a ton of money, but you went and watched it and you thought, but even something relatively easy like a movie, and everyone thinks it's great, you go and see it and you don't think it's very good. Well, then it might be worth pointing out and having a discussion about that, because obviously something's not matching up. You're missing something, they're missing something. Something's going on different with that in a way. But I don't think that just looking for the fault in everything is necessarily helpful. One of the other important things I think about Christianity and the Western religion, as it were, that the individual is so considered divine, and that the individual has divine rights from God that no one should take away, such as the right to your own thoughts, the right to your speech, the right to decide how you will conduct yourself in your life. And it's very difficult that I see no other tradition that can give people this assurance of their autonomy over themselves. It's nice to say, because whenever you're looking at groups of people and you want good people and then there's going to be some bad people, it's very easy to say, well, we just need to get rid of the bad people. And if you don't have a philosophy or a meaning to life that says, no, everybody has a right to live and a right to live their own life. They even have a right to speak. And we'll not infringe upon that, unless, the society's already agreed upon these other things, theft, murder, those sorts of things. And it is very hard to put up any reasoning for that beyond the divinity of the individual, that the individual is sacred and that we must respect them. And I haven't heard anything but Christianity really give forth this idea of the individual, because we live our lives as an individual. We don't live our life as a group. We're not some sort of, ant in a colony. That's not a human life. I mean, sometimes you can treat people like that. You can treat people as mindless automatons, but that's not respecting their divine nature. And people seem to function best when you treat them as divine individuals. And people thrive under those conditions and can add so much to the world, hence what the Western world basically has given us in our technology, art, literature, and just the whole bodies of science that we have today, which really is an undreamed of miracle that everything around us even functions as well as it does. But I think that can't be minimized, the impact that the Western life, that religion, that Christianity has given us this stable bedrock upon which to build the rest of our civilization. I know this has been a little disjointed, but I had a lot of ideas because I've heard currently right now a lot of atheists still talking down on religion. And they always bring up creationism as their main sticking point, which I don't understand because not all religious people, Christians, believe in creationism. That isn't even Orthodox or Catholic belief. It's actually counter to it. And speaking for myself, I don't hear any actual discussion about how people actually live Christianity out beyond those two talking points. And since not everyone believes that, and you even have other Christians that would say creationism is incorrect, that evolution and religion can coexist. There is no reason that they are opposed. And if I'm not mistaken, that's actually the Catholic Church's belief as well, that they publicly stated. That, okay, so can we move the discussion on? Are you just stuck arguing atheism from 20 or 30 years ago, and that's all you want to discuss? Because I want to move us forward. And I don't see any way that most atheists have any coherent way for people to live their lives, to give meaning to their lives and to function. Because everyone has to have meaning to function. If you don't have some sort of meaning, you can't function as a human being. And so I guess the idea of our limited fallen nature, that we are these finite beings that can never know the truth, but are ever striving closer for that truth to work for it. Where is your problem in what I have said? Would you be opposed to it? Would you endorse it? Would you not? Even as an atheist or as a religious or very religious person, I'm interested on the feedback in this because I have watched quite a bit of Noel Plum, Friended, and a few other people, and I really feel like this debate is stuck. And that there's two sides here that's missing. There's the people that want to argue against creationism and evolution, that those things cannot belong with religion, and because of that we have to keep fighting these until every last single person doesn't believe in them. And then we have the other side, which is okay, but religion has important things to teach us. The Bible has important lessons inside of it. We can't junk everything because some people read it wrong. And that's really what I've just from what little research I've done into this is what appears. Creationism is an incorrect interpretation of the Bible, just flat out. And there's just no getting around that. It was never intended. The Bible is a book of wisdom. It is not a history textbook. It is not a geological textbook. It's so much more important even than those things. It is a Bible of, the Bible is for how you live your life. How do you make your day-to-day decisions? What is the best mode for you to contribute in a positive way to the world? Again, please leave any feedback below, and I hope that I would hope that this is the first of many perhaps discussions that we might have on this and expand I really want to see this take off instead of getting bogged down, because unless atheists are actually willing to talk about meaning in religion beyond creationism and evolution, they're going to be stuck in the past. They'll be stuck doing the same thing that they've always done, and that will be no productive way to move forward.